Gender equality is complicated. But does it have to be? I am of the opinion, just like Kazuyo, that I am a warrior of gender equality. But recently, after having been in a relationship which pushed me into hanging around more girls than usual, I noticed the girls around me don't really want that. And that they are sexist. So, it got me wondering. If the majority of women don't want to have real gender equality, would pursuing that be sexist, as the majority of women's opinions are ignored? I like to think of it like a robot with two commands. Protect human life, and fulfill all requests. Which function are we going to value more? When the two ideas clash, which one do we place as a priority? I am no women's expert. Clearly. But I have always been curious about certain implementations of gender equality in the modern day. I would, however, like to preface something. Gender equity is sexist. It is a form of positive discrimination, and while it can be helpful to lend power back to women in societies hostile to female empowerment, it is definitionally sexist. When I discuss gender equality, I do not mean equity. With that in mind, let's broach our first topic. In a few countries for which the laws I am aware of, women have substantially more rights and protections than men. This, of course, is due to traditional gender norms and old laws failing to account for gender dynamics that would be prevalent in modern day. Nobody can adequately predict a far-off future, but it is the responsibility of the legislature to do so. So my first proposal would be simply to copy-paste the laws with respect to women and change terms so they become appropriate for men. Simply just change the female language to male language. Ultimately, this is definitionally equal, providing an equal portion to both parties. But of course, people hold issue with this arrangement because men and women have unique needs. For the sake of illustration, imagine a country had rules about period pads. That effective immediately, all girls in a school would get them for free. This rule, however, is sexist, because in principle the girls are afforded a luxury unavailable to the boys. But some may see it as justified because boys typically wouldn't need period pads. And they may have practical concerns such as limited resources or resource efficiency. However, I want to frame this somewhat differently. And that is by acknowledging a possibility where this particular law is providing a legal luxury. In a sufficiently developed country, boys and girls can both be provided period pads. With either of them not necessarily needing the pads provided, it becomes more of an equal playing field. And if the boys use sufficiently less pads, then eventually, their pads won't need to be replaced and the cost of the pads would only be with the girls if they chose. This framework potentially satisfies the desires of the girls, while still technically being equal. Another uniquely female experience is childbirth. Say, there is a law providing women with any sort of government aid when they give birth or are pregnant. Providing the same rights to males, literally is no harm to them. Just as there is a possibility that a male may abuse the rights granted, i.e. in the pads example a boy could hoard them or attempt to sell, so too could any female. The potential for harm from a renegade should not hinder the execution of gender equality. However, I do not advocate for private institutions to have this exact same regard. It is unnecessary should the government do as needed. And private institutions do not overbear on private citizens who choose not to engage. I do not need to go to Starbucks, but not living in my own country is a significantly more difficult endeavor. At a potentially great personal cost. My idea of equality naturally extends to prison time for men and women. Women serve significantly less time than men for the same crimes. And that is completely unjustifiable. As long as the circumstances are similar, they should serve equal jail time, no ifs, ands, or buts. But alas, we do not live in this ideal world, where all types of equality are available. I still do believe that laws should reflect upon everyone equally. No harm in that. Jail sentences as well, literally no problem. But when it comes to relief, I am fine for now, with it being dedicated to the people most in need. But it might surprise you to know that I think men, particularly enlisted men, should be given greater benefits than a woman who gives birth. That baby isn't gonna lock in for World War III. Thank you for watching the video. Leave your thoughts in the comments.